Hello, future engineers. Today we are going to take a look at doing for loops inside of Python, and then we're going to apply that into our VEX VR. Just it's a little bit simpler, it's a little bit easier to see when we're just looking at numbers, and then we'll see how we can take those numbers and incorporate it into our movements. So for instance, that is what we're actually going to do. A for loop says that for I, or our variable inside of this case, and we can change that, we are going to do a certain process for a certain number of times. So we're going to say for I in range, and now range takes several arguments. It takes a start, a stop, and then a step. So we're going to say it starts at 1, and then it goes until 10 is when it's going to stop, and we're going to move up at a step of 1. So inside of this, we are now going to hit our colon, and we are going to start this range. We're going to print I every single time. So I is going to get updated with each of these steps. So what we're going to do at the very first one, I is equal to 1, because that's what we set our start at. Then it's going to step up 1 until it reaches to 10. It's not going to include 10, but it's going to go all the way up. So when I hit start, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Very cool. Let's see what happens if we change the step to 2. Now it just prints all the odd numbers. So it goes 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now this is important because we can have certain things change as these variables go up. So let's say that I is our, we're just going to say this as reps. We're going to be doing, what should we call it? What is that basketball drill called? Ladders. We're going to be doing ladders. So for reps, this is going to be, each rep is going to be 1. We are going to print our reps, so whatever it is. And then we also want something to change or update. So what I'm going to do first off is I am going to say that our distance that we run is going to change. So our distance ran is going to equal, we'll start it at 10. So now every single time that we do a rep, we are going to want to print whatever our distance ran is. And every single time that we do this, we are going to increase the distance that we run. So after the first one, we are going to say that distance ran is plus equal to 10. So we're going to increase 10 every single time that we do this. So let's read out our code. First, we say that our distance ran starts at 10. Perfect. So for reps in range, so every single time our rep is chosen, we are going to move up to our second rep, our third rep, our fourth, going up 1 at a time until we hit 9 reps, because we're not going to include 10. Then we are going to first print reps, then we're going to print the distance ran, and then we are going to say that the distance ran increases 10. So then the next time that it goes through this, when it prints distance ran, it's going to be 20. So let's run this. So in our first rep, we have got 1, then 10. In our second rep, we ran 20, and our third 30, all the way on and so forth. So you can kind of see how this plays out inside of our VR. So let's do this inside of our VR. If I go over here, I am going to make my robot move a certain distance. So first I'm going to say distance, and they don't actually run, robots don't run. So I'm going to say distance moved is equal to 10. That's going to be our very first thing. Now I'm going to throw in a for loop, and I'm going to say for rep in range, and this time I'm just going to do the shorthand. If you only put in one argument, it's going to assume that we're starting at 0 and that our step is at 1. So if I put our range at 9, it is going to do this process 9 times essentially. Cool. So we'll put in the colon over here. And now there's a little things that are different inside of our VEX VR. First, we are going to go and say that we want our brain, which is basically the cortex, whatever our computer that is functioning this, we are going to print whatever I is. Because I don't know why they do this inside of here, they don't print them on different lines. I'm gonna say print dot new line, and I'm just gonna leave that blank. So then it's going to print I, it's going to print the new line. And then what we are going to do, we are going to drivetrain for whatever our distance moved is. So we're gonna do drivetrain dot drive for, and forwards, we're gonna set this to our distance moved. And I'm gonna set the distance moved actually to 100 because we're gonna do this inside of millimeters. Cool. And then every single time that we have the distance moved, we then want to go brain dot print our distance moved. Distance moved. And then we are going to increase that distance moved. So we're going to say that distance moved is now plus equal 100. So we're going to do 100, then 200, then 300, then 400. Now we want it to go forward, and then we want it to go backwards too, so we actually can tell how far we're going. So I'm going to say drivetrain dot drive for, and we're going to go in reverse. We're still going to move in that distance moved, and then we're going to throw this in millimeters. So to read this out before we run it, Jiminy Cricket, we are going to start with our distance move at 100. So the very first time that we move through this iteration, we are going to move 100. So for rep in range of 9, we want to first, by starting to print rep, not I, we're going to print what rep number it is, and then we're going to print a new line. Then we are going to drive forward that distance, reverse that forward, then we're going to print the distance moved, then we're going to increase the distance move, and then it's going to repeat this process. So let's hit start. Oop, I'm in disk mover. And you can see that we're getting some weird stuff with our printing, but we are increasing the amount that we move every single time. So let's close this out real quick and make some quick changes to it. First, we are going to add another, I'm gonna add another, after here, we'll do a brain dot new line. Cool. So it's going to print the rep, have a new line, then print the distance, then new line. Cool. And I also want to set my velocity a little bit faster. We aren't turning, so we don't need the turn velocity. So we're just going to set this up to 100 for when it's driving. Cool. So now that should be a little bit easier to see. So now when we hit start, yeah, you can see that it is moving a little bit further each time. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to do. So now this is a little bit more efficient. We're going out and back, going out and back. This should really help you with this activity inside of here, basketball drills. So I'm gonna leave it right there because we're almost at a 10-minute video, and that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.